What's going on?
Oh, hello.
I can do that joke too. I can do that joke too.
Yours looks so much better than mine. You didn't do anything to yours, right?
Nope, this is completely untouched.
Oh my god, yours looks bigger too?
Maybe? I don't know.
I feel like you have a lot more space between the bottom lip and the base of the book.
I think I do. Man, I stay winning, I guess.
Yeah, you do. Yours came with the collector's edition of the game, right?
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to see if I can snag one then, because yours has a nice. Mine looks kind of dull in the lighting. Like, hold up yours again. Yeah, yours
You
has
got a
like a
bit of
nice.
shine to her.
Yeah, and the paint job, like even the color is. You want to trade?
No, I waited too long to get this.
No, I feel you. I feel
I
you.
paid too much in duties to have this shipped across the
Oh, I
border.
bet. I bet.
Um,
Yeah, I got mine straight from the company. But yeah, I'm gonna have to see if maybe they did another run of it. But yeah, yours looks.
Yeah.
You win. You win. You win in the Necronomicon department. Yours looks way better.
Thank you. Anyways, welcome to episode 12 of Hail to the Deadites.
Woo!
This is our Evil Dead Rise special. We've both seen the film
Yes.
multiple times now, and it's been out for a weekend, so we're going spoiler heavy. So if you
Spoiler
haven't seen the
heavy.
movie, don't watch this. Maybe go see the movie and then come
Yeah.
back and watch this.
Yeah. If you haven't seen the movie, what the hell are you doing here?
Yeah.
Like I appreciate that you're taking the time out to watch us, but you should go watch Evil Dead Rise if you haven't already.
Definitely. So yeah, we're gonna talk about our experiences seeing the film, since we've both seen it a couple of times.
Yes.
And then we're gonna go through the whole movie. I went today and I wrote like literally a play-by-play. So we're gonna go through the movie like bit by bit and just talk about everything awesome that happened in it.
I'm excited. I'm excited to discuss this with you.
So you got to see the movie way before me.
Yeah.
For our Lee Cronin interview.
Yes.
So how was that experience?
It was really cool, and I just want to say shout out and huge thank you to Warner Brothers and Line Cinema for setting that up, being able to interview Lee, who is an amazing writer and director and just the biggest sweetheart ever. Love that guy. Just thank you, Warner Brothers, for setting that up with us, and also for allowing me to have a chance to see the movie before the interview. Because they actually had me go to Warner Brothers Studios in LA for a private screening in one of their theaters on the lot, which was a really cool and unique experience. So thank you so much, Warner Brothers, for that. That was really nice and really awesome. And obviously, I loved the movie. Otherwise, I would not be here discussing it with you, nor would I have seen it as many times as I've seen it by now.
So maybe we'll go in order then. So how many times did you see the movie before like it came out worldwide on like the 20th, 21st?
Ooh. Before Thursday or before Friday?
Before, let's say I saw it on Thursday, so let's say before Thursday.
Before Thursday. Okay, let's see. There was that screening. There was that screening. So let's see, there was Monday. And then... No, wait. I was getting confused. So there's that screening. There was that screening. There was that screening. I think I saw it 3 times before the
It came
the
out
Thursday.
worldwide, yeah.
Yeah. Let me double. I'm looking at my tickets over here that I have. Yeah, I think it was 3 times before the worldwide release. Yeah.
And you were quite lucky. You like won the costume contest at Beyond Fest at their screening, and you got to meet Lee in person after meeting him online.
Yes, it was so cool, and oh my god. You know what was also crazy about the Beyond Fest screening? Like it was like I wish more screenings could be like that because it was so cool. Like the energy there was amazing. I was in good company, like tons of fans. and I think there were people there that had never seen an Evil Dead before as well. They got dragged along by their friends who were fans, but Warner Brothers was there. Shout out to Monica from Warner Brothers, who's also a master sweetheart. She was there. Um, and then multiple people from the Evil Dead franchise were there. So Lee was there. Um, Alyssa Sutherland was there. Lily Sullivan was there. Jane Levy was there, who played Mia in the 2013 Evil Dead by Fede. Teresa Tilly was there, who played Shelley from the original Evil Dead, and Betsy Baker, who played Linda from the original Evil Dead, was also there. So they had like the multiple ladies of the Evil Dead from the different iterations
Yeah.
there. And they also had a cousin of Professor Raymond Noby was there and did a live reading of the Book of the Dead, and some audience members got possessed. And like you said, there was a costume contest, and that was amazing. A lot of good, really good cosplays, by the way. There were multiple ash holes that were there. There was a Mia, there was a Pablo, there was a David, there was a Cheryl, there was a Linda. There was like so many awesome cosplayers who chose multiple characters from across the entire franchise. Some even dressed up as the book.
That's
It was
awesome.
it was great. It was a great time, and it was awesome. And like there were some cool freebies. Like my sweater is in the other room. If I have time, I'll grab it later. But if you've seen the white sweater with the Evil Dead Rise logo and a bloody handprint on it, they gave those away to those who participated in the costume contest. And on the way out the door, one of the main items I've been wanting to get, the Mom's
The
Leg
leg
weenie.
weenie! Oh my god, I'm so jealous. Oh, that's
And
awesome.
I didn't want to open because I had snagged another one. I didn't want to open it, but I opened it when I went to an employee screening at the theater I worked at of the movie, and I was like sharing some with my coworkers, and we were like, "Oh my god, this is so good!" Like, I need to find out the actual brand of the candy because it's like it's a strawberry flavored sour licorice that's cream filled.
That's okay. I thought it was just like, like candy bacon. It's like the rainbow sour wavy
Yeah.
candy thing. I thought it was just that, but all red and sliced up. But
No.
that sounds delicious.
It's like actual, and it is. I was not expecting it, and I'm not just saying it because I'm an Evil Dead fan, and this is like an Evil Dead themed candy, like legit. You could call this, a promo item for a movie about staring at the wall watching paint dry for all I care, and I would still say that this is delicious. Like it is legitimately really good, and I think someone on Reddit said where they're from, it's a candy called Livewire, and so I'm trying to see if I can find that. Actually, I think it's from Canada, Livewire.
Let me check. I wonder if it's at Bulk Barn.
But obviously, it'd be something different here in the States. But
We have
trying
the
to
blue
find
raspberry flavor at our local Bulk Barn, which is like a bulk candy store. They have the blue version, but not the strawberry version.
Yeah, see if you can find the strawberry version, because I'm pretty sure this is essentially that. Because like I didn't even notice, like if you could see, it's cream filled.
Yeah.
And then of course like it's sour. It's got the sour sugar on there, and it's really really good. And then the cool thing is the cheese grater is also a magnet, so you can like stick it on your fridge or something.
I need one of those. I need magnets for my fridge. I'm gonna have to scour eBay and
humble request from Warner Brothers. If you can send one of these out to G, we'd appreciate it.
Please, I'll put the Warner Brothers logo on my fridge as a thank you. I'll put it on my front door.
Nice.
So I saw the movie on 420, except I didn't do anything fun because I had been sick for a week and I was so worried I was going to be too sick to see the movie, but I wasn't. I slept a whole lot and I got my shit together and I went to see it with my boyfriend. I had a wonderful time. We were both so excited to see the movie, and we were excited during it and after it. There was only like 12 other people in the theater with us because it was like the Thursday night premiere. They put us in like the smallest theater room, which is the one I hate the most because there's no direct middle seat. It's got the aisle down the middle and seats on the side. So there was no way to sit right in the middle. And I'm picky about theater seats. But I saw it and I loved it. And then I saw it again today, and you've
Nice.
seen it a lot more since then.
Yeah, I might have seen it a few more times, and I might be seeing it again very soon. So
Yeah. Well, should we jump into our review, our
absolutely.
breakdown, and get all in? So the movie opens with what we think is the Force going through the woods, and I was so excited because I was like, wow, they're giving us like the Force right away.
Right
It's so
away.
cool. But then it turns out it's a drone, and I
It's a
was like, that was
drone.
that was a really good choice, because sort of the
Yes.
movement was very similar, and I love the way that they had like sort of the opening like production credits like
Yeah.
in the movement. Oh, it was so cool.
And it's funny that they did that because realistically now, modern day, that's what I think someone doing an Evil Dead movie would do. If they're doing a POV, they'll
Yeah.
probably just use a drone
Mm-hmm.
because it works perfectly. So it was funny
Yeah.
that I feel like that was also kind of like, I don't know if it was intentional, but I also feel like it was kind of like a callback to the idea of like the art of filmmaking and how, you
Mm-hmm.
know, being a fan, knowing how it's been done before versus how modern times it probably would be done. So I really like that red herring of making you think it's the evil force, and then surprise, it's some jerk with a drone being a dick with it.
Yeah. And I don't know if they ever say his name, but like Jessica's boyfriend, he has the weirdest accent ever. I couldn't place
Caleb, I think, is the
Caleb.
name.
Yeah, I couldn't place his accent for the life of me. He sounded like almost Elvis-y
He
a
yeah, he
little.
did kind of have like an accent. I'm trying to. I'm thinking of what he said. He was like, the line I'm thinking of was when he was like, "It wouldn't be a clean decapitation; it would just mess up your face real good." He kind of sounded like he might have almost like a New York accent
Yeah,
in a
but
way.
I've never heard a real person with a New York accent like that. Like it's so like comedic.
Yeah,
Um, I don't know. I wonder
but
if he
he
was like Australian or something where they filmed this like sort of down there.
because they
Maybe he
did use
just
a lot of
couldn't.
New Zealand
Yeah,
actors.
maybe he
I
just
thought
couldn't
his
pull
voice
off
was
an
fine.
American accent normally, so they just had to give him a really
Like,
heavy New York accent
do
to.
whatever accent you can. I thought he did good though.
Mhm.
And the look of terror on his face when shit starts going down. Well, we'll get there because we're going scene
Yeah.
by scene, so I'm getting ahead of myself. But continue.
Yeah, so one of the things they sort of said in the press leading up to the movie is that it opens with a cabin in the woods.
Yes,
And it does. It opens
it
up with this cool
does.
little cabin in the woods, and it's so nice, and we walk in and like the first thing we see is like the clock from
The
Evil Dead
clock.
1 on the wall.
It's
And
the original clock.
I was so excited. That was like I tried to restrain myself during the movie to not point out every single reference, but just like I was just overwhelmed, and I was like, that's the clock.
I love that every Evil Dead film thus far that's had a cabin in the woods, they've had that original clock. It was in the
Mhm.
original movie. They brought it back for Evil Dead 2. They brought it back for Fede's 2013 film, and then we had it in this movie. I love that. I've seen that clock, I believe, in person at the Mystic Museum when they had the Evil Dead exhibit.
That's wicked.
Like they actually had it there.
I'm so glad that survived, because I know that they just
Same.
like burnt so much of the stuff after the movie, and then that cabin burnt down. So
Yeah.
anyways. So we get Jessica, I can't remember her name, but Jessica's cousin. She is the side braid.
Teresa.
Teresa. I
Yeah.
wonder if that's a reference to Teresa Tilly.
It is. I will quick side note, I would tell you I found out that Lee has said somewhere in an interview that every character name, whether you hear it out loud or if it's just in the credits, because I don't think Teresa's name is ever spoken out loud, but it's in the credits,
Mhm.
is an Easter egg / reference to someone who's worked on Evil Dead, whether it's the actor's name or a character name.
You know what I literally have pulled up on my second monitor that I was going to talk about once we got to the apartment? There's a
What?
list of like the main character names and where they got the names from.
Nice.
Yeah, so Beth's name is referencing Beth Davids, who was Sheila in Army of Darkness.
Okay. Okay.
Ellie, obviously Ellen Sandweiss, who
Yeah.
was Cheryl in The Evil Dead.
Yes.
Danny Hicks,
Danny Hicks.
which is a nice little tribute. And then Bridget
Yeah.
was either Bridget Fonda, who was Linda in Army of Darkness, or Bridget Hoffman, who's the model in this Evil
In the
Dead
poster,
poster.
yeah.
Yeah,
Could go either way.
and then Cassie Wesley, who played Bobby Joe in Evil Dead 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm glad that was actually, like, confirmed that, like, oh, that's so
Yeah.
cool.
It's a really cool, neat little thing that they did. I love that, yeah.
I'm so happy that Lee is such a big Evil Dead fan and got to do this movie because I
Yes.
feel like it shows so much.
And it's just exciting to see yet again another person, like, because I think we've been lucky that Sam has been handpicking people that are such fans of the franchise and respect it and love it and are allowing them to put their own spin on the universe and
Yeah.
give us something so cool that pays respects to what came before, but also keep things fresh and exciting and opens up the door for new possibilities. And it's like Fetty did an amazing job and Lee has done an amazing job. And I could not be more happy and proud of what we've gotten so far. And I'm so excited to see what we're going to get in the future, either from them or other new directors that could come
Yeah.
along.
So, Teresa is reading Wuthering Heights while Jessica is
Yes.
laying in bed because she's not feeling good.
Hmm.
And I couldn't what like is there a significance to her reading Wuthering Heights?
I will be honest. I hate to sound uneducated right now, but I don't know because I've heard of the book Wuthering Heights,
Yeah,
and I
I've
know a
never read it
little
either.
bit about it, but I don't know enough about it to get what the connection is between the themes of that book and the themes of Evil Dead or the specific themes for Evil Dead Rise. So
Mhm.
I'm curious, but what I will say um is I feel like um Jessica, you know what? I'm getting ahead of myself. I feel like you're about to touch it. I'll let you go ahead and say, and I'll say what I think it was meant to be. So you go ahead and continue.
I thought it was like a reference when she starts reading from the book, even when Teresa's not reading from it. It's the card scene from Evil
Yep.
Dead
I was literally, yeah,
where
that's exactly where I was going. Yeah.
Linda and Shelly are doing the cards and Cheryl's on the other side of the room looking out the
Guessing the
window
cards. Yeah.
doing that.
I feel that was exactly what that was supposed to be.
Mhm.
Yeah. That's the vibe I got from it.
Yeah, but I know in Evil Dead 2, like when Ash is trapping his hand, like the book he puts on top is like like a call to arms or something.
A farewell to arms.
A
Yeah.
farewell to arms. So I need to know why Wuthering Heights was picked.
I'm curious if if there's a connection there as well, because I
Yeah,
feel like there might be.
because the lines that were read from the book were they fit the scene and
Yeah,
stuff.
they were creepy.
Like let me in. That worked
Yeah.
really well. But there's got to be something more.
Yeah. So if someone knows out there, please leave a comment below and tweet at us or whichever social media you use. Uh, comment, let us know what the connection is.
Yeah. So
I'm
then
probably just gonna go search Reddit and Twitter right after this to figure that out because I'm
yeah.
curious.
So we get the card scene, and then Jessica pretty much like full on gets possessed at that point. I thought it was a really interesting choice how in this movie, like the Deadite possessions like mimic seizures in a weird way because they like
Yeah,
shake and they're foaming at the mouth.
yeah, and
Um,
puking white stuff everywhere.
yeah. So I thought that was interesting because I'm trying to like think and I feel like we don't really see sort of like the progression of how possession really works. I feel like we see people right after they get possessed, and then we don't really see them, and then we see them when they're a deadite.
Are you saying for this movie specifically or overall in the franchise?
This movie, but also I can't like pinpoint anything in my brain where it's been done in other movies.
I could see that, yeah, because it's like the possession acts really quickly in the franchise overall.
Mm-hmm.
Like I feel like normally what happens, it's the POV, it hits someone. I think in terms of progression, it's the progression we see is visually whoever's possessed looking worse and worse
Yeah.
and worse as time goes on. But aside from that, it's it's not like a three-stage. It's not like, you see other horror movies about demonic possession where it's like, oh, there's multiple stages
Yeah.
within the possession, like like the house gets possessed, and then like there's weird stuff, and then a person gets possessed, and because
Mm-hmm.
I've seen that trope kind of done before in demon possession movies, but with Evil Dead specifically, I think it's really quick, cut and dry. It's like POV, person gets possessed. Well, person gets attacked, then
Yeah.
possessed, and then they just start attacking everyone else.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so yeah, I don't really know if there's ever been
Yeah,
much.
we never see like sort of an like besides this movie a little bit, we don't really see like a full sort of transformation in a sense.
Yeah, because I think this one did take a little bit more time with certain characters getting possessed. I'm not gonna get too far ahead because we're going like scene by scene, but like
Mhm.
specifically like with Jessica, we could say like she seemed like she was sick, and then you know you could slowly tell that like the demon was starting to take over, like when she's reading out loud what Teresa was reading in the book, and then the puke, and then the full
Yeah, then she's
transformation.
full on and we get our first blood of the movie, which is a
Oh
scalping,
my god,
which I'm
brutal.
so glad about because I think it just let everyone know like this is what you've paid for. Like
Y
this is what you signed up for.
yes,
It's
that
fucking
is what
Evil Dead.
that is what I love about the intro, like, similar to, like, for example, what Fede did with, that intro where, the girl was walking through the woods, and then she gets, uh she gets captured and
Mhm.
then burnt alive and all that, and then the title. I love that. I hope Evil Dead movies continue that trend of here is an intro with someone being possessed, different group of people than who's in the main story, title, and then here's the main people and what's going on. I love that trend.
Mhm. So after that, there's a little bit of a tussle between Jessica and Teresa, and they slowly work themselves outside and onto the wharf. And
Yeah.
then Jessica picks up the drone and like I don't know if she lets go of it to do something else or if she intentionally like sort of rams it into her head. I couldn't
Just
really
rams
tell.
it into her face. She holds it, looks at Caleb,
Mhm.
smiles, and then shoves it in her face.
Yeah, I like I didn't know if that was like where she was basically like hurting herself with the drone. I didn't know if that was like you know how later in the film like sort of as Ellie's being possessed there's like a second before she's basically gone and she's like
Yeah.
protect my babies. I don't know if maybe her throwing the drone at herself was like her last bit of humanity like sneaking through and trying to like off herself
That
so
is a
she
good
wouldn't hurt.
theory. I I don't know. I think because I noticed in this movie, after seeing it so many times, there's a lot of setups. There's a
Mhm.
lot of use of like Chekhov's gun and the foreshadowing.
Yeah.
Because remember earlier at the very beginning, when Teresa got mad at Caleb when she was like, "You could have took my head off," and he was like,
Yeah,
"Oh, it wouldn't have been a clean decapitation. You would have just messed up your face real good." I think that tied into then
definitely.
Jessica taking the drone and like shoving it in her face. So I think that's where they were going with
Yeah.
that.
It worked really well, and then Jessica decapitates Caleb under the
Yep.
water, throws his head up on the wharf, and she slowly rises out, and we get
The,
arguably the best
the,
title card in the Evil Dead
yes,
franchise.
absolutely.
It's and I love that it rose up
Like
into the
it's
frame. It
it's
was
like
so
on one hand
cool.
it's cheesy, but it was also really well done and really freaking awesome. Like it was
Mhm.
just, and then the music accompanied with it too. I was just like, this is. I was like, we're good. I was like, this. I was like, I'm set. Like I already know the rest of the movie is gonna be great because this intro was perfect. So I
Yeah.
was like, we're set.
Yeah. So we get a little text that says 1 day earlier,
Yes.
and we're in a very dingy backstage area at a rock concert, and we're going into a very graffitied bathroom. I saw on Twitter, I lost the tweet, but I saw on Twitter that someone saw like a reference to I
They
think
said it was a reference to Sheila
Sheila
or
and Army of Darkness saying, "How do
yeah.
I look?" to Ash, because right below the mirror in the bathroom, it's written, "How do I
Yeah,
look?"
it says, "How do I look?" Yeah.
Um, but then again, that's also just something people say when they look in the mirror, so I don't know if
That
it
is
was a
true.
direct reference, but I feel like this movie is really smart with its Easter eggs,
I'd
so
have to rewatch begrudgingly Army of Darkness again to see if that's a line that's in there, but
I
I
think it
don't.
is. I feel like someone wouldn't make up an Easter egg.
No, I don't think they were either. I'm just trying to remember because 'cause I'm like, "Was that a line?" Because like, I know there's the reveal of evil Sheila,
Mhm.
and, evil Ash is like, "Say hello to the boys," and she's like, "I may be bad, but I feel good." So I don't know if they thought it was that. I don't know. Not
I don't
not
know.
to not not to be that fanboy that, like, knows everything, because I promise I'm not,
Yeah.
but I just gotta double check and see, like, on that one.
Yeah.
But I'm curious if there's other, because there's a lot of graffiti in that room.
Yeah, I was just
There's,
gonna
like,
say
too
I can't
much
wait till, like, the 4K, like, version comes
frame
out,
by frame.
and people
We'll
we can
try and
investigate all
find,
the graffiti, because
but
I know they built a lot of the sets for the movie,
yeah.
so, obviously, they would hide stuff in the production design because they did it themselves.
But you did remind me of when we get to, later in the story of a mirror thing
Okay.
that I saw.
So, we go into the bathroom, and we are greeted with a pissing scene, which is once again, it's just like, this is an Evil Dead movie.
Yes.
And we meet our main character and our one of our final girls, Beth.
Beth.
I really this the whole pregnancy thing that she has sort of caught me off guard because I know going into it, a lot of people were like, "This is a movie about motherhood and family," and I honestly did not expect at all that they were going to make her pregnant.
Yeah.
I thought that was really interesting,
I
and
don't
it.
remember if I had that spoiled for me before going in or not, but
Mhm.
I was like, "Okay, interesting. So this is, like, her dilemma, and this is why she goes
Yeah.
on the journey that she does."
And that does give a lot of reasoning for her to go and see her sister, because sort of
Mhm.
as we know later, like, Beth doesn't answer her calls from Ellie.
Yeah.
So obviously something in Beth's life would need to happen that would be on that level to make her go and see her sister to get some advice. So I thought that was a really good thing written into the script, and it wasn't done, like, just for shits and giggles, like, it sort of
Yeah,
served a purpose,
exactly.
um, which I really liked. So Beth heads to the high rise to go see Ellie and her kids. And I just think that Ellie is the coolest mom and she is the coolest kids ever. And we get this short little introduction scene where we sort of see sort of what they're doing. Like, Ellie's repairing her tattoo gun.
Yeah.
Bridget's looking for her shirt for a protest. Like, Danny's like mixing this like really awesome like live recording thing. And then Cassie's making Stephanie.
Yes.
And I loved how much they were able to like tell us about these characters in such like short amounts of time because it's not a super long scene. But
Yeah,
I
I
feel
was
like,
literally about to say the same thing.
yeah, I feel like by the end of the scene, we know who all these characters are and sort of
What they're about.
what they're about and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, it was
Mhm.
a it was a really good introduction, and it's like the chemistry between the cast, by the way, is just so good because,
Mhm.
like, they felt like an actual family, the way they interacted with each other, verbally and physically and whatnot, and I just everybody in the cast is so good, and
Mhm.
I was just blown away by the performances, and that's one of the things I loved about this movie is that unlike previous entries, it takes a little bit, not too much time, but it takes a little bit more time with the characters and getting to know them and the dynamic between them and making you somewhat feel for them and get attached to them before the shit hits the fan, because that's something I feel like me personally has kind of been missing in previous Evil Dead stories. It's not, Ash versus Evil Dead gets kind of lucky because it's a TV series, so
Mhm.
you're kind of forced to spend a lot of time with these characters and get to know them over a longer period of time. But in a movie, especially a horror movie, you have to make things go by quick and get to the
Mhm.
point. Otherwise, audiences are going to get bored and whatnot. And I feel like this film did a phenomenal job of not spending too much time with them, but spending just enough to get to know them and care about them and understand who they are and how they operate.
Yeah. So the neighbors come and knock on the door and ask Bridget if she wants to come over for a Nightmare on Elm Street
Yes,
marathon.
which I
And I
love
loved
that.
that because it's a reference to like the little like friendly dispute that like Wes Craven and Sam Raimi had like in their movies with like
Yeah.
Freddy's glove and like Evil Dead being on the TV and Nightmare on Elm Street. So I love that they were able to sort of continue that in a way, like homage it a little. I thought it was
Yeah, I feel like it was meant to kind of be an homage, and I also love the banter where the younger kid was like, "Yeah, we're even watching the shitty ones," and the other guy was like, "There are no shitty ones." I was like, "Yes, agreed.
yeah.
There are no shitty Nightmare on Elm Street movies."
They're all fun and good in their own ways.
Yes.
Um, so then Beth shows up, but her sort of reuniting with Ellie is kind of a jump scare because Beth sort of
Yeah.
hides behind the door and then jumps out and scares her, which is, I guess, our first little jump scare of the movie in a
Yeah.
sense. I honestly didn't get jump scared by very much in this movie.
Okay.
But yeah, I thought that was fun, and it sort of showed the dynamic they have a little bit, where it's very playful, I guess,
Yeah.
but also strange because they aren't really talking to each other that much. But anyways, we go inside, and Beth gets to see her nieces and nephew, and we get introduced to Stephanie in all her
Amazing.
glory, and we learn that
Stephanie's the best.
it's such a good. I need it in Evil Dead the game so
Same.
badly,
Same.
and if they
Iconic.
do, they need to have like a finishing move where it goes like through
Yeah, like
the
in the
head. That needs to be the finishing move for it. So yeah, I can't wait. Like the people that make like the power gloves and the chainsaws, like in Evil Dead fan groups, like down to like the most minuscule details.
Knights of
I need
Samaria, Ghost Beaters, get on it. We need a Stephanie.
I need them to all pivot like 180 degrees and recreate Stephanie like down to like glitter specks behind your ear or something in one frame. Like I need them to go all out because I will buy one.
Chris Pollock, you're the guy. You're the guy to make Stephanie for us.
Yeah. Another thing that I sort of was able to more take in on my second watch is just how cool the apartment that they live in is. Like just
It is a really cool apartment.
it's really cool. I love the bathroom.
I'm
Like
like, where in LA is this at?
I
Like,
know, and
how much is the rent?
I know it was so cool, and it looked so like real that it
Yeah,
blew my mind that it was just a set they built for
I
the film. It's insane.
props to the set builders and everyone else who worked on the film, like art department, because they did
Mhm.
an absolute amazing job with that.
Yeah.
Because I you like there's I can't like you shouldn't be able to tell something's a set anyway, but like you legit like you look at that and you think
You
they
can't.
found an apartment building
Yeah,
and
and
they
they
filmed
made
there.
it look so, like, lived in and realistic for, like, this family and stuff, and
Yeah,
I love it, and once again, can't wait for the 4K
because you know
version
there's
to
there's
see all the
hidden
little
Easter
details
eggs.
and
Yeah,
stuff.
there's details. Which
Um,
reminds me, did you notice in Danny's
Danny's roomie is the Three
yes,
Stooges
Three
poster,
Stooges mural?
yes!
Yeah,
And they actually play the Three Stooges theme at some point during the movie because it's in
they
the
did.
credits. I sat through all the credits of the movie, and at the very end where they sort of list the songs they played, it was the Three Stooges theme at the end.
How the fuck? I've seen it like freaking almost 8 times now, and somehow I missed that. I don't
You'll
know.
have to listen extra hard
Yeah,
to find that.
I'll have to see when that happened. I was also gonna say, did you notice that the wallpaper design is kind of like a woodsy aesthetic?
I didn't notice that.
Yeah, like the trees and like leaves and vines and whatnot, and also Ellie's tattoos.
I was just gonna say her tattoos are
Yeah,
vines. Oh,
vines and whatnot. Yeah, I was like, I see what you guys did there. Nice.
it's so smart.
Yes.
Um, yeah, so we get a little family scene at the table. Um, Beth learns of sort of what's going on in Ellie's life, and Ellie sends the kids to go get pizza from Henrietta's Pizza.
Henrietta's.
And there's a little earthquake, and
Just a little one.
just a little earthquake that's
Little
enough
one.
to like open the concrete floor of an old bank and
It's
stuff.
enough to cause a hole in the ground.
Good one. Yeah, so that scene is really cool with Danny going down through the old bank. But I didn't really notice this on my first watch, but on my second watch, why storing Necronomicon in bank? Like, I get that it might be like safe and it's like in like a safe locked room, but like bank?
I want to know more about the lore behind the priest that found this book and how it ended up in the bank, because I'm still trying to piece together if it's implied that the priest put it in there, which would make sense based off of what else is found in there, the crucifixes, the pendants,
Yeah.
and like I
The
believe that
tomb?
was a tomb. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but
Not
it's
your
like,
average bank
yeah,
vault
it's
stuff.
in it because it makes you wonder, okay, like it makes you want to know more. It's like, okay, how long has this bank been around?
Mhm.
Whose bank was it? How did a bank? Because that's very odd to have in a bank,
Mhm.
like a tomb. Because
Yeah.
I can't tell if like the whole area was a vault or if it was like, because they showed the vault door,
Yeah.
but I don't know if that was like. I have to look at it closer. I can't tell if that whole room was a vault or if it was like a room and then another vault or something.
Mhm.
But it's like, they had like all like the records and whatnot. I'm surprised Danny didn't take all the pieces. Like I would have taken the whole box
Yeah.
because he only took the book and the vinyls. I would have taken the whole box,
Mhm.
honestly.
But
Um,
I think he only took what he could fit in his backpack so that his sisters
true.
wouldn't be like, "Put that back, like, you're stealing." Because we
Yeah,
know that once Bridget finds out he took the stuff, she gets mad at him for stealing.
yeah, yeah. And
Mhm.
was it stealing? No, I'm kidding.
I mean, I don't think I mean, it's from, like, 1923, the recording, so I
Yeah,
can't imagine
1927.
anyone who owned it would still be
Well, like,
kicking.
also on top of that, it's like that place isn't a bank anymore. Like it was an old bank that they built, like, which is it's crazy to think about. Like stuff like that actually does happen though.
Yeah.
Like it makes you wonder, like how many places that you've gone into and visited that you don't realize there's like another structure hidden underneath that used to be
Mhm.
used for something else, which is also a terrifying thought if you think about it. But I I would love to know more, and I'm pretty sure the lore has already actually been written and whatnot about that bank vault and what's
Mhm.
in it
Yeah,
and
because I
the
know they're
priest and
working on, like, a
whatnot.
lore Bible for the
Yeah,
Evil Dead movies that, like,
yeah,
Bruce and Sam are making to sort of help people that make future entries to the franchise sort
but
of
like,
figure out stories.
yeah, but like that's a cool thing I would love to learn. Like whether it, if they did like an animated thing or a comic book or a
Mhm.
game, I would love to know more about you know those priests, the missionary, because I'm kind of getting ahead of myself because we haven't gotten to the recording yet, but
Yeah.
you know what I'm trying to say. I'm curious about, like, I'm really intrigued by the lore behind this particular version of the book, how it was found, who found it, and how it got to that bank vault.
Mhm. Um, yeah, so speaking of the book, I love how when Danny uncovered it sort of down in the tomb, there were bugs all over it. Because like,
Yes.
it is human flesh and human blood, so, like, bugs would be attracted to that.
Yeah. I think it was like flying cockroaches too, which is really disturbing.
Yeah, but I don't know, I didn't notice that till my second time around. I thought maybe it was just for, like, shits and giggles to have, like, bugs fly, "Oh, jump scare," or whatever, but my second time around, I was like, It probably smells."
Probably.
And so the bugs probably wanna hang out there.
Yeah.
Um,
Like an actual book bound in human flesh and ink and human blood, I would definitely never
yeah.
step within 5 feet of, because no, thank you.
Yeah, that'd be gross. So yeah, the kids are making their way back up to their level of the apartment building.
I
And
think they're on
Ellie's
level 14, I think.
yeah, should have put them on level 13. Um,
There is no 13th floor, maybe.
um, yeah, so Ellie is sort of asking all her neighbors if she's seen the kids or if she can use like their phone or car to go find them
Yeah.
because they haven't come back yet after the earthquake and she's worried because she's a mother.
Yes. A very
And
good mother.
Mr. Fonda, I think it is, the older
Mr.
guy with the
Fonda.
shotgun. Obviously a reference to Bridget Fonda
Bridget
and
Fonda.
Fonda's tree removal, which is down in the
Yes.
parking garage. He asks if Beth is the groupie that Ellie talks about.
Yes,
Which
there is a running gag of Beth being called a groupie
mhm.
by her sister Ellie when she's in fact a guitar technician.
Yeah, and the thing that I didn't notice it on my first watch, but I noticed it on my second watch. I don't feel like Ellie is the type of person to like call people degrading names based off their occupation. Like I just think about like Bridget as her daughter, and obviously like Bridget goes to protests and stuff, and I feel she'd be
Yeah.
like very politically correct and like woke in her views and stuff, and I feel like groupie is like an inherently like sort of anti-feminist word because it's just sort of gives the connotation if you're like a girl backstage at a show you must be sleeping with someone in the band and definitely not like a guitar tech or a stage manager or a sound
Yeah.
person. um
I I could see that. I feel like also maybe Ellie, and also to be fair, just because there are kids that have certain views on the world doesn't mean it matches their parents'
mhm.
views of
Yeah.
the world. And so that's one way I'm looking at it. And then two, like Ellie being an older sister, she probably views things a certain way and probably was telling Beth like maybe it started off as teasing
Yeah.
and then it grew into maybe she ended up actually viewing her that way.
Mhm.
Because like the dynamic was because I noticed when she said, "Don't indoctrinate my daughter into your groupie world, this, that, and the other," and then Cassie's like, "What's a groupie?" And Beth is like, "Your mom's favorite nickname for me, even though she knows I'm a guitar technician." And it was
Mhm.
like, "If you say so," with like a smirk on her face. So I feel like it was teasing, but also a little bit of Ellie actually views it kind of
Yeah.
that way.
Mhm.
So
And that probably also would have added to the fact if Beth was actually able to tell her that she was pregnant before Ellie got possessed because
yeah,
um but yeah, so Bridget and Danny go and read the Necronomicon, or they go look at it.
yeah,
I really loved the design of it in this movie. I thought it was really cool
same.
that they didn't have a face on the book. I like that they had the teeth. I thought the drawings inside were really cool.
Yes,
It all looked really awesome. Um, and then there's a scene where Beth is going to give Cassie a bath, and Cassie's afraid of the water because she got stung by a jellyfish once, and Beth sticks her hand in the bathtub and pretends that something grabbed her. And I love that little like jump scare tease it gives you.
yeah.
Because it's an Evil Dead movie, you don't know what to expect. Something probably could jump out of the drain pipe and
You
grab
never
you.
know.
You never know, and
You
especially with
never
this
know.
movie, you never know when it's gonna like start. So I love that. Then Danny starts playing the vinyls he found
Oh
down
boy.
in the
Bank seller
bank
or
cellar,
bank
bank
seller?
bank tomb,
Bank
the
tomb?
bank, the underground bank. Um, I what so I don't know if you caught this, but he had to like spin the record himself because I think he had it up as fast as it would go on his record player, but it wasn't playing it fast enough. But I
Yeah.
also saw someone on Reddit say he was spinning it the opposite way.
Yeah, I think he was playing it backwards, they
Okay,
said.
well, in that
'Cause
case,
I
I love
think
that.
'cause I think this way is backwards and this way is I think cl I don't have a vinyl record player. I have
Mhm.
vinyls, I just don't have a record player at the
Same.
moment, so I have to I think you know what? Here's how I'm gonna find out. I have this Bluetooth speaker that is designed to look like a vinyl record.
Hmm.
So let me turn this on. Sorry, that's loud. Sorry. I have to, and what's funny is I actually have to play music in order for it to start spinning. So let me see here really quickly. Might as well play something from Evil Dead.
Yeah.
Let me see here. Oh, it's not paired. Hold on. Thought it was paired. It is paired. What the heck? It's not doing.
I'll
Maybe it's possessed.
I'll Google it. Which
We're
way
having technical
does
difficulties.
vinyl
That probably would have been the easier way to do it.
Spin. Clockwise.
Okay.
So
So yeah,
Danny spins it
clockwise.
counterclockwise,
Yes.
and the voices start to reveal themselves, and it's the priest talking about the Necronomicon and stuff. And this is where we get our Bruce cameo.
Wait, Bruce is in the movie?
You know what they say? No ash, no cash. So they had to put him in. Now, I knew going into the movie that this is when Bruce's cameo was because I got spoiled by reading an article. However, I did think he was going to be the one reading the whole thing.
I apologize that got spoiled for you. I knew that he was in the movie because he mentioned it at San Diego Comic-Con last year. He's like, I have a audio where I play a preacher in the movie. And I was like, interesting. In my mind, I was expecting it to be like, someone's listening to a radio and maybe someone's preaching about hell and damnation or something like that. Because I was like, oh, that would fit. That would make sense.
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting it to be there were priests who found the book and like had audio recordings and whatnot. But I do think that's really cool. And so yeah, he has the little cameo when
it's one line. He says like it's called the Book of the Dead for a reason.
Yeah, he's like, destroy it. It's called the Book of the Dead for a reason. And that is him. And Lee Cronin himself has suggested
that it could be
maybe, just maybe, that could be Ash Williams himself. Because time travel and rifts and space and time and whatnot. So I could totally see that being a thing where like maybe Ash got transported to the 1920s for whatever reason, finds out that there's a book, is hunting it down, trying to stop them from using it, and I could totally see that being a thing.
Yeah, but it's you have to be like I was, as soon as Danny started spinning the vinyl, I was like listening. I was like, where is Bruce? I was like, he's here. Where is he? So and my boyfriend didn't know because I didn't spoil it for him. So he watched the whole scene and didn't I was like, when I heard Bruce's voice, like I had a reaction because I was like, I know that voice. I would know that voice anywhere.
Bruce has a very, very distinct,
and it's very funny because on second watch it sticks out so much because the priest has such like an old timey priest voice, and he's like, the Book of the Dead.
Yeah, and I think
Bruce
he's like British,
destroy
too.
it.
Yeah,
I'm Bruce Campbell. Destroy it. Which I loved, but I think if you're not listening for it, you wouldn't catch it maybe.
No,
because I know a couple people that haven't heard it.
Yeah, well, like even some people who like have had ties to the movie, like missed where it was. So yeah, I do feel like it's very short, quick, and to the point. It's a sweet little cameo.
Yeah, which I think is good because I think if it was too long of a cameo,
it'd be distracting.
You'd be like, I know that guy.
Yeah. And so I love how they did it, and I love that it's kind of semi-ambiguous because it could be Ash or it could just be Bruce playing someone else. But I know everyone's gonna choose to believe it's Ash, which I'm cool with. Like, and if Lee himself says it could be Ash, then I say, hey, it's Ash. Therefore, Ash is in the movie, folks. So you can not cry about that.
1 billion at the box office by next Friday. I demand it.
But yeah, there was a fun little cameo, and I'm curious where the franchise is gonna go from here. It's funny because today is the anniversary. It's the 5-year anniversary of Bruce announcing his retirement of Ash.
Yeah,
and now we're 5 years later. We have talks of him possibly coming out of retirement if they fulfill the original plans of having Ash crossover with Mia, and then Ash and Mia crossover with whoever survived.
Yeah.
This, so which I'm hoping we get to do that because I think that would be really freaking cool.
That would be really cool. So, as Danny does the vinyl thing, we see the Force pick up on a street and go into the apartment building and hit Ellie, and I love it's such like a trademark Evil Dead thing to have the shot of like the forest rushing at you
Yes.
and stuff like at with Ash at the end of the first Evil Dead movie. So I love that they were able to do that in this, and I think it looks so good. Yeah, and then it's Ellie in the elevator, where she's getting messed up by this possession thing.
And it's a nice little callback to the vines
Yeah, because
in Evil
the
Dead
the the
1 in
co- the
2013.
wires start
Yeah.
snaking up and like choking her and like grabbing her arms and legs and stuff.
Twisting her and whatnot.
Yeah, there's sort of a blink if you'll miss it moment where she drops the keys while it's
Mhm.
in the door, which is important later.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, there's also one scene where like one part where it rips out her earring,
Oh my
and like that
god.
was that was I felt that in my earlobe. I
Uh,
was like, "Ow."
that gets a reaction every time. It's like so far in terms of things that have gotten a reaction that are
Mhm.
gruesome, the scalping at the beginning
Yeah.
and then the earring pull
I think
gets
just
a
'cause with
reaction every time.
earrings, like, if you have your ears pierced, like, you're told your whole life, like, "Be careful, like, don't catch it on anything." Like, I remember like, I was little, my mom wouldn't wear dangly earrings because she thought I would grab them and pull them out of her ears.
Oof.
So, it was brutal. Um, yeah.
It's so quick too, but so effective because like, you just go, "Ah," when you see
Mhm,
it.
and the sound it makes too. Oh,
The
it's, like,
sound design in this movie is
it's so,
amazing.
like, horrible to imagine, and they pulled it off so good. This movie has such good sound design.
Yes.
Um, yeah, it's so great. Um, so we get back to the apartment and everyone is sort of recuperating and mom's home. She's back
Mommy's home.
and she has this like horribly fucked up stance in the doorway
Yes.
and it's such like an eerie pose and then she like
The way she walks too is
it's like
so disturbing.
it's like Alyssa Sutherland. Like I people praise like Bruce's physical comedy in the Evil Dead movies, especially Evil Dead 2, just like
Yeah,
the flips and stuff and the smashing plates. I think Alyssa's performance in this sort of matches that, but in
I
terms of
agree.
like gruesomeness and
Creepiness.
stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I agree.
Um so she goes into the kitchen and she starts smashing eggs and actually at my first screening when she started smashing the eggs, I heard someone go, "Ugh." Like sigh
Really?
of well, I don't know if they like didn't like eggs or something or was the blood in the eggs, but I like to think that they were so furious about the price of groceries right now that the idea of someone just smashing eggs was like the worst thing you could do in this movie. Rip a scalp off, no problem. Smash eggs with the inflation these days.
That's funny.
Yeah. So that's obviously that's the brutalest kill in this movie
Just the eggs.
is the is Ellie's bank account after how much she probably spent on those eggs
Oh my god,
and
that's too
smashing them
funny.
all in a pan and then dropping that pan on the floor and then it probably just gets demolished. But
That's too funny.
anyways, one of the first stills we got for the movie is the split diopter shot of
Yeah.
Ellie's face and the kids and Beth in the background, and it was really cool getting to see that in the movie. Um, and she starts telling the story of this perfect dream she had, and it ends with like, and like, I cut you all open and like
Climb inside your
climbed inside
body.
of you, and it was hinting at the Marauder, and
Yes.
I didn't realize that till the second time I watched it. I thought that was so cool.
Yeah, very, very good use of foreshadowing in this
Mhm.
movie, I feel like.
Yeah, and then Ellie gets full on possessed. She pukes out all kinds of white stuff and is
Oh my
crawling on the floor,
god.
and her spine is moving.
Probably the
Um,
worst puke scene I've seen in a movie.
yeah.
Like,
Mhm.
like it was so much. It was so like, I took my family, my mom, my dad, and my sister to see it a few days ago. Oh my god, I just realized, like, that's another screening I've been to. I've seen this movie a lot. Um, and it was funny because like, afterwards, my mom was like, "I was just wondering when she was gonna stop puking. It was so mu" I was like, "Yeah, it was a lot." And she falls.
Mhm.
It was just gross. And I realized that that in itself, I believe, is a callback to the original movie because Shelly and
Yeah.
Linda puke white
Mhm.
fluid in the movie.
Yeah, I have a note on, like, the different colored sort of goo they use, throughout this movie. I found it particularly sad that Ellie's like, I guess like her real last words
Don't
before
let
the
it take
Deadite,
my
"Don't let it
babies.
take my babies."
Oh my god.
That it's so it's sad.
Yeah.
Um, and then there's a whole kerfuffle where they're trying to like get her to a hospital, but the stairs are gone, the elevator's broken.
Which is a nice callback to the bridge being out
Yeah.
in Evil
Um,
Dead because, like, they're not sure that if they can use the elevator, which I know
mhm,
I wouldn't trust it, and then the stairs were gone,
yeah.
which sucks.
Which is I realize now was like a where they built the set, they wouldn't have the stairs to go shoot on because it's basically all one apartment level. So
Yeah,
it's not like they had a stairwell to go shoot in. So of course you got to write the stairs out of it. I really liked that.
I thought it was brilliant.
Hmm. So Ellie, quote unquote, dies, and
Yes, which is
Beth,
very interesting the way they
and
did
Beth
that.
and her neighbor put her in her bed, um, and Beth and the neighbor and Mr. Fonda come in, and he looks at her
I think the
while
neighbor's name is Gabriel
while
or
Gabriel
Gabe,
is
yeah.
saying a prayer for Ellie. Mr. Fonda says, "What the hell happened to her face?" Which I thought was referencing in Evil Dead 1, where Shelly goes,
Her
"What happened to her eyes?"
I didn't catch that the first, like, 8 times, so you know what? Good on you,
I don't I
that
don't know if it's a direct
it could be.
homage to that, but it felt too similar to not be something.
Speaking of eyes, I just wanna point out how funny, like, it gets a reaction every time when Gabe closes her eyes, and then they
Mhm.
open back up. It gets a reaction every single time. It was like,
Yeah.
"Oh," and, like, people just, like, laugh at how disturbing it is.
Mhm.
'Cause now
'Cause
that would freak me out.
yeah. Oh, it was so cool. And then Beth is talking to Ellie's corpse.
Mhm.
Um, and then Beth's phone starts going off with a voicemail of Ellie, but then after sort of the hello, it's like, "You gotta save me, like, it's burning me
Burning
alive," or whatever.
alive, yeah.
And I thought that was so cool because, like, obviously in, like, Evil Dead 2 and Army of Darkness, there wasn't any really, like, technology that
Mhm.
Deadites could get into, and they did it a little bit in Ash versus Evil Dead, but I really liked how, like, nowadays, like, demonic forces definitely would be able to, like,
Oh, yeah.
possess your voicemail and, like, do stuff like that. So I thought it was cool that they can control, like, modern technology now.
And
Um,
I'll be honest, like, I I've seen the movie multiple times, and I still can't decide whether or not if it was the demon possessing the phone and
mhm.
then real Ellie broke through trying to communicate, or if it was the demon the entire time on the
Yeah.
phone.
I'd like to think that real Ellie broke through for a second because I feel like as she was dying and her real self was dying, she definitely would be very worried about the safety of her children and sister
Yeah.
and would be wanting to let them know to like get away because
Yeah.
something is happening.
I feel
Um,
like that as well.
So Ellie sits up and is like burning up. So they throw her in the bathtub. We get the bathtub scene, which we've seen so many clips of in the trailer. Ellie like crawls up and she like screams for like
Loud
ages.
shriek,
It
yes.
shatters the mirror, like they can hear it out in the
I'm
hallway.
surprised that the shriek alone didn't demolish the whole building.
I know, it was like intense. And then she falls back in the tub and crawls out, and we get the line that I was most worried about in the movie. I was very worried
Yeah,
about
I
the
remember
mommies
you
with the
saying you were
maggots
worried
line
about that line, yeah.
because in the trailer it shows like she's saying it to Cassie, and one of my first things was like, she's like 6 or 7.
She's probably not gonna
She's
understand,
not going
yeah.
to know what human decomposition is and like what maggots are and how they're involved in that. So I was very like not a fan of that line and stuff. But then it turns out she actually said it to Danny and
Yeah.
Beth, which I'm glad about because they would know about that, and it made a little bit more sense to say to them instead of Cassie.
That reminds me, quick side note, I don't know if you saw, but I so the person, Liza, I believe, who we've been in contact from Warner Brothers,
Hmm.
she sent me a cryptic email not too long ago saying, "Hey, you should check out this location and you should visit at night because her looks better at night."
Hmm.
winky face emoji, and I was like, okay. I was like, I wonder what's going on here. It was a display for Evil Dead Rise. So like up top, it had like the poster and then like the date and then like a giant like storefront window
Yeah.
where it said "Mommy's with the maggots now." And from a distance, it looks like it's supposed to be a page from the book because it's kind of like tan colored and the words are in red. And
Mm-hmm.
there's like lighting at the bottom that kind of like resembles like flame. But when you look at it closer, the entire wall surrounding the text is made out of maggots.
That's
And I
Warner
believe
Brothers.
they were real maggots too. They're dead, but I think they use like the actual like carcasses of real maggots, and especially when you looked at the bottom, there were like different kinds of like shapes and colors.
Mm-hmm.
It was disgusting, but awesome at the same time.
Yeah. Warner Brothers needs to extend their promotional materials specifically to where I live, because I will go and promote the hell out of them. They need to do it like specifically for me. They can set it up on my lawn if they want, and I'll pay for everything. Just on my lawn, please. They did the same thing in Toronto with pages from the book.
Yeah,
And you were sending them to me.
because
But
I
I've
didn't
only been
know
to
how
Toronto like twice, so I don't know any of the streets or
far
anything.
you lived from Toronto. So I was trying to tag. I was like, you should go or check it
Mm-hmm.
out or whatever.
I think Toronto is 14 hours away from me.
Oh wow, never.
Yeah, I'm on the eastest coast of Canada.
Well, maybe hopefully
Toronto's the
they'll do
middle.
something to promote the home video release in your neck of the woods.
Yeah, they can throw parties at my house. I don't care. I'll move all my furniture outside. They can build a haunted house in my house. I don't care. Do some promotion that I'm involved with, please.
That'd be
Please.
funny.
I'll
That'd
be
be
so
cool.
good. Where were we? Okay,
Mommy's
yeah.
with the maggots now, yeah.
So after that, there was a little Easter egg that Lee told us about after our interview, because we got to chat with him for a few minutes
A little bit,
afterwards,
yeah.
where Ellie's head pokes out from the bathroom door,
Yes.
and it perfectly lines up with the Evil Dead 2 poster. Yeah. Which is so cool. It's a blink if you'll miss it thing, and obviously if you don't have the poster like in your mind,
Yeah.
you're not gonna notice it. But of course I knew about it going in, which was good. So I was able to catch it.
It's funny because every time I see it, I see the Evil Dead 2 poster every time. She's just like looks over the
Even the
side.
lighting and stuff is similar to the lighting on the
Yes.
poster. And that's very special because it's like, wow, like the director of this movie that I moderated the interview for told me about this Easter egg, and I have found the Easter egg. This is really cool.
Very cool.
Yeah. And then there's some broken glass on the floor because of all the shattering from the scream. And I think the scariest part of this movie is a lot of people walking barefoot on broken glass. But in this case, it does kind of work out good because it sort of like cripples Ellie a little bit and she can't walk quite as fast because she has broken glass all over her feet.
That too.
Mm-hmm.
And then we get a callback to Evil Dead 2 with Ash having a hand injury.
Yeah, that was my next note. It was like, I love how like the big three of the Evil Dead movies all get injuries to their hands. Like Ash gets his hand chopped off, Mia gets hers ripped off, and then Beth gets the glass shard right through like the palm of her hand, which would hurt like a bitch.
Brutal.
Yeah.
Oh, and secondary callback is kind of like 2 in 1 because she injured her hand. Notice how tape, ever since Evil Dead 2, ends up becoming like a huge thing that gets used in the franchise.
Yeah.
So they didn't use duct tape this time, but I think they used Scotch tape.
Yeah.
Is what she used to tape up her hand, which I thought was a nice little callback as well.
Yeah. So Deadite Ellie is attacking Beth, and the children are attempting to intervene, and Bridget manages to distract Ellie enough. But then Deadite Ellie says something like, I couldn't wait to die so I could get rid of you titty-sucking parasites. And it was just like, man, like, I'm not glad that only one kid survived, but like the therapy bills for all three of them after this event, like maybe it's a good thing that only Cassie survived. Even if she's gonna be fucked up forever.
She's gonna be fucked up forever.
She's gonna be fucked up forever. And then Deadite Ellie attacks Bridget with the tattoo gun, which I thought was such a cool weapon to have around, and obviously works so well because Ellie's a tattoo artist.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't see that in any other movie, really, because
Nope.
who would have a tattoo gun at home if you're not a tattoo artist? So I love that they were able to do that. And she gives Bridget a scratch on her face with the tattoo gun, which would hurt a lot.
It looked like it was a deep cut too.
Yeah. And then Gabriel comes in and Ellie gets out in the hallway. They slam the apartment door and they barricade it up. And then Ellie bites out his eyeball and spits it at one of the kids, which
eyeball,
was
flyball.
Bobby Joe in Evil Dead 2. It was so
eyeball,
cool.
Flyball. Oh my god.
I loved that they did that.
I feel like it was even especially grosser this time around.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because she bit it right out of his head. Go girl. That's a girl boss moment. Yeah, and then we get to see sort of Ellie killing the neighbors from like the peephole in the apartment
really
door,
cool,
which is so cool. I saw someone say it was overused, but I literally don't think it's that overused, and it's so cool. It's effective point of view environmental storytelling. That was the note I wrote about these types of scenes. I think it works really well because it shows you what's going on outside without like taking you outside, and you sort of see what the characters would be seeing. Yeah, and I really dug
it was very cool the way it was done. And there was a setup for that earlier too when the kids were trying to talk to Bridget and she closed the door. I think when she closed the door, the camera stayed fixed on the peephole as the door closed or something like that.
Yeah.
So it was really cool. There's a lot of nice, I know I sound like a broken record, but I feel like there's a lot of nice setups alluding to things that are eventually going to happen in this movie.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of records, Beth goes and listens to the vinyls in Danny's room, but she listens to them with headphones on. And you know, I didn't think anything was going to happen because the Deadites were already out and about. But I was like, if Danny had listened originally with headphones on, would anything have happened?
That is a good question. Maybe
would it just he have gotten possessed?
Maybe. Who knows? But that is a very interesting and good thing to think about because the rules of the way things work in the Evil Dead, specifically with the Deadites, has never been extremely set in stone. It's been more fluid. Because, you know, like the rules in the original film are bodily dismemberment.
Yeah.
Will supposedly stop them, even though you realize it doesn't really, you know, because the end of the movie, Ash gets attacked. And then we've seen, actually, that one rule does kind of stick. I think it sticks around for like a specific Deadite you're dealing with.
Yeah.
It doesn't stop.
Yeah, I don't think it stops everything.
It doesn't stop them overall, but it will stop whatever Deadite you're dealing with, complete bodily dismemberment. And then, like they mentioned, the book can't be destroyed. You know, so that's why you gotta like bury it deep or hide it somewhere or whatever.
Yeah.
They
and that probably makes sense why then it's in a bank vault.
Yeah.
Yeah. There we go.
Just curious how it ended up in that particular bank vault and whatnot.
I don't know.
And then there was but yeah, because we've seen Deadites dispatched in a number of ways, and like some of them it makes you go like, well, how is it like we've seen some beheadings of Deadites like in the show specifically, and it makes you go, well, we've seen Deadites get beheaded and it doesn't stop them and whatnot. So it's like it's a little murky and fluid the way to stop them, but I like how this one kind of sticks to the idea of the original film where it's like complete bodily dismemberment is the way to stop a Deadite for sure. Because there is the moment where they were like, is Bridget gonna come back just like Mom did? Oh, actually we skipped that because
no, we haven't gotten there yet.
Well, because like because Bridget gets possessed before Ellie listens to the vinyl. Because
my next note is about Bridget's cut getting all veiny,
which
and
is
stuff. It happens during it. I think it's all like
Yeah.
It's all in the same scene, but it's all cut between. So yeah,
Yeah, there's a lot going on, yeah.
there's a lot going on. I think she's listening to that as Bridget is getting possessed. Or not possessed, but as she's trying to clean up her cut and her thing starts.
I think so.
Yeah, because it goes on for a bit.
Yeah, because I know Ellie is still locked outside trying to get in.
Yeah.
And whatnot.
Yeah. So, one thing I really liked about Bridget turning into a Deadite is the cut on her face. All of a sudden, it like jumps out and it's all these veins, and it reminded me so much of Linda's ankle in Evil Dead.
Yeah.
And because Tom Sullivan did the stop motion for that, sitting there, and I think in our interview with Betsy, she talks about like the angle that she was sitting at to do that was like so uncomfortable she got sick from it or something.
Something like that, yeah.
So yeah, I loved that they were able to homage like the special effects work that Tom Sullivan did on the first movie with something like this. And on another homage thing, her like nose and eye goop being black, I think was sort of referencing how in Evil Dead 1 and 2 they did different colors of stuff so that it wouldn't get like an N17 or a X rating. Because technically it's not all blood. Because I know in Evil Dead 2 he gets hit with some black goo.
Yeah.
I know there's some green stuff going on.
There's like red, black, and green in Evil Dead 2, I think.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, I think that was
meant to be that, yeah.
That. And then Beth comes out and finds Bridget eating the wine glasses, and that was absolutely crazy when they show it like
when she swallows
coming out of her throat as it goes down. That was wild. They get into a kerfuffle, and we get the scene that everyone has been waiting for, the cheese grater scene. Hell yeah. Which honestly, it went by a hell of a lot faster than I thought it would. I thought
it was gonna linger a little bit longer.
I thought with the amount of promo that they were doing for it, it was gonna go on for a bit. But even still, just that like the scratch, it still made me squirm. Just
the sound, and then like you do see some of the leg meat.
Yeah.
You don't get to see a lot of it. I'm wondering if like they cut it down or if it was like longer and more graphic.
Yeah. But even the scream Beth gives is like that would have hurt.
Like the whole like it gets a reaction every single time. Mm-hmm. Like you just hear the whole audience go, ah! Like you look around and you visibly see some people like looking away, like they can't handle looking at it. When I was the sick freak during my employee screening. I was eating this during the scene while cringing at the scene. I was like, oh,
that's great. Then we get into Bridget and Cassie's bedroom, and we get Stephanie's kill, which is brutal, as we mentioned before. Just like right through the mouth, out the back of the head. I will say, I think Bridget has some of the best Deadite moments out of like her, Danny, and Ellie. I feel like Bridget has the most like brutal like kills and stuff. And
I could see that, yeah, because we're not there yet, but yeah, because for us, the cheese grater is obviously the most iconic thing about this movie, because so much of the marketing material has been built around the cheese grater. And like I'm curious if that was by design or if it was like once the trailer was released, like the reaction to the cheese grater was so high, they were like, well, we gotta come up with some marketing material on the cheese grater then.
I'm trying to remember, because I know they showed it. I know they showed the shot of the cheese grater in the trailer, and then I think around the time it premiered, I think just before South by Southwest, they added the cheese grater hashtag on like Twitter and stuff. With like the little icon at the end of when you put in hashtag emoji. Evil Dead or Evil Dead Rise. But yeah, the cheese grater. Then they tie Bridget up to her bed. And I was just wondering why they didn't tie her to the bed and then leave the room and then barricade the door and keep her in there.
That would have been slightly, I'll take it a step further than what I think would have been slightly smarter. Like maybe disrespectful, but I would have thrown her body out the window.
Yeah, because the window was right there.
That's what I would have done. I would have been like, somebody else's problem. Just yeet out the window.
That the guy with the shopping cart would have gotten it.
Probably, yeah.
From Bridget. One thing I
Which
noticed
then
when
could sorry, but
yeah,
then that could set up, like, the evil spread. I mean, granted, we already know that he was gonna spread because of the intro in the movie, but, that could have set up the evil spreading even more because she could have
mhm,
gotten back up and, like, LA would have turned into Hell A after
yeah.
that.
One thing I noticed is that the record that Beth listens to, this might be a bit of a reach, but the record she listens to is record number 7. And if you think Evil Dead 2, Army of Darkness, 2013, Ash vs. Evil Dead Season 1, Season 2, Season 3, that's 7.
Wait, it was
And
the
this,
7th one? I thought it
she
was
was
the th
listening to the 7th one.
I thought it was the 3rd one.
Nope, Danny says he listens to the first 2, and then she says, "I'm gonna listen from the other end."
Yeah, I
And
remember
she
her
takes out
saying that.
record number 7.
Huh. Imma have to I call myself paying attention with how many times I've seen this fucking movie. I'm gonna have to look again. I might go watch it tonight again. I don't know, we'll see.
Go wild. See this dude, it's
If I
how
see it
long till we
tonight,
get another
I will have seen it literally every day since Thursday.
you should get I think you would qualify for, like, a world record at this point, honestly.
I need to contact Guinness Book of World Records right now for most amount of time seeing Evil Dead Rise in theaters
Mhm.
in succession.
Yeah, so that was my little thing I noticed. I don't know if it means anything, but I just thought it was cool that there was 7 entries in the franchise so far. I mean, it's a bit of a stretch separating, the Evil Dead
Uh,
seasons out,
I don't
but
know. I feel like that because like you said, Evil Dead 1, Evil Dead 2, Army of Darkness, 2013 seasons 1, 2, and 3. Oh, wait a minute. Because are you saying like this one being the 7th
no,
one
I was saying there's
or
been 7 so far,
7?
and this would be
Oh,
8.
yeah, okay, then yeah, you'd be right because Evil Dead 1, 2,
Yeah.
Army of Darkness, seasons 1, 2, 3, and 2013. Yeah, it would be 7.
Yeah, so I noticed that,
You're not wrong.
it could also be lucky number 7,
Could
um,
be.
could be, but I don't know. Out in the hallway, we see a cat in the air vent, Mr. Fonda's
Mr.
cat
Fonda's
that gets up
kitty.
in the air vent, and I got
Everyone
worried the
freaked
cat was
out. Yeah.
gonna die. My
Everyone
boyfriend turned
freaked
to
out.
me and put his arm on me and said, "I'm so sorry," because he definitely thought the cat was gonna get mauled and I was gonna start crying.
You hear everyone in the audience go, "Oh, no, no."
We all have, like, PTSD from John Wick and seeing the dog die.
Yeah.
We're
Oh, that
all
reminds me. Earlier when, Cassie opens the door for Ellie, you literally hear every single time I've seen it, people go like, "No, don't do it. Don't open the door. Don't do it."
Mhm.
Which I believe the door is meant to be an homage to the cellar door,
Probably, yeah,
because
because
they
the way
even
her
have, like
arm sticks out of it and
yeah,
stuff.
and, like, the chain and whatnot, so
Yeah. No, that's cool, I didn't notice that. So Bridget gets up and is walking around, and she has the blanket on her, um, which was cool, and she's, like, lurking in the background, and it was, like, very suspenseful, and then Danny
yes.
turns around and sees her. It really when Danny stabbed her, he should have held onto the knife and taken it out of her, because he probably would have lived a lot
He probably
longer,
would've been fine, yeah.
but he left it in her, and then
He
he
was in
gets it in
shock.
the arm,
Oh my
um,
god. Oh, that was
and then he gets
brutal.
all the blood on his face, and then during that, Beth is still listening to the tapes or the records, and we
Yeah,
see Ellie crawling out of the vent behind her, which is just
terrifying,
crazy. It's
terrifying.
terrifying. And then she sees her in the reflection of the window. But then we go back to the kitchen and Danny sprays like hairspray or something into the gas stove
Something.
and lights Bridget on fire. And I wrote, thank God they don't have wood floors in their kitchen when Deadite Bridget was burning on the floor. Otherwise, we would have a whole new problem on our hands, which is
Yeah,
the building is on fire.
and then you really woulda needed to get out.
Yeah, they really would have been jumping out of the window at that point. So then back to Beth and Ellie in Danny's room. Beth takes the headphones off to stop listening to the record. but then Ellie puts her finger on and uses it as like the record needle and opens her mouth like.
Lilo and Stitch moment.
And that was so cool. I really, really enjoyed that. It was like funny but also scary.
Yeah.
And then there's some more kerfuffle, and then Ellie says to Beth, "I will swallow your soul."
I will swallow your
and
soul.
I was so happy. I was so happy. I'm so glad the homages in this movie weren't like
they're not as
blatantly
in your face. Yeah. Which I've seen some people trying to say, and which I'm just looking at them like, okay, like whatever. Like there are some that are kind of obvious, yes, sure, but there's also a lot that are very subtle. And a lot of the ones that are obvious, I feel like you said aren't that in your face and also fit within the context of the story. Because my thing is like I feel like some people just love to complain because some of the complaints I've seen about like the Easter eggs and homages, it's like, okay, it's a freaking Evil Dead movie. It's like there are certain things as an Evil Dead fan I personally would expect to see in an Evil Dead story. Like you didn't see anyone complaining about the TV series when they made direct references and Easter eggs to Evil Dead 1 or 2 or Army of Darkness. So, I think it's just certain fanboys just love to find things to complain about because they're like, oh, it's not an Ash-centered Evil Dead story, so I'm gonna hate on it. Like, whatever.
Then Cassie slides the scissors over to Beth, which she does. I didn't notice this until literally right now, but at the beginning of the movie when Cassie's cutting the head off the doll, she's using the scissors.
Yeah,
and then
Ellie's like,
Ellie
you
says,
better
"You
not have
better
my
not have my
scissors."
scissors," and she slides them across the floor.
Don't got him, Mom.
And I just didn't realize that till now that she slides them to Beth, and then Beth gets them, and then right up the nose.
Oh my god, they were deep.
They were thick scissors too. They were like that.
Yeah.
It was just up there, and it just like catches her off guard. And like, even if I was like possessed,
my nose just like tingled thinking about it.
Even if I was possessed, that would still like knock me out for a little bit. I'd be like, "Give me 5, guys."
And then she takes 5 though.
She does.
She's out for a minute.
Beth grabs Cassie and they go into the hallway and they're gonna break down the door to apartment 58?
82.
82. Got my numbers all wrong today.
I think, I don't know. Like I was looking, I was like, it could be a stretch, could not be. I think it is meant to be a nod to the year within the canon lore that Evil Dead 1, 2, and you could technically say 3, before he goes back in time. Because Ash versus Evil Dead, they say that it's 1982 when Ash went to the cabin. In the real world, it depends on who you ask. Bruce will say it's 1979.
Yeah.
If you go by when Evil Dead 1 had its premiere at the Redford Theater, it's 1981. If you go by, because the franchise has had 2 40th anniversaries now.
Yeah.
Because this year they were like, oh yeah, it was the 40th. Like I've seen like official like accounts being like, happy 40th anniversary. I'm like, didn't we do this 2 years ago? But it's talking about the worldwide theatrical release was in 1983. But in the lore, 1982 is when the shit hit the fan.
I never noticed that. That's cool. So they try and break down the door. It's a very suspenseful scene because you know that the apartment door is open. And Ellie and Deadite Danny and Bridget are just hanging out in there, getting ready to fuck shit up. And then we get our boomstick moment with Beth. She picks it up and she's shooting at the door, and then she shoots and knocks Ellie's leg off.
Yeah.
She takes out Mr. Fonda as well. And then takes off Ellie's arm, I think, one of her arms.
Yeah.
And knocks her down, and then Deadite, Danny, and Bridget come out, and they start like crying, but then it slowly turns to laughing. I thought that was crazy
and terrifying.
That'd be so terrifying because it was like their normal human voices crying.
Yeah.
And laughing, which would just fuck Cassie up again.
Oh yeah, no, Cass is gonna need some heavy therapy.
Yeah.
After this, did you notice? They kind of let you know what's coming when they first leave the apartment and go in the hallway and they show the bodies. If you look closely when the light flickers, you can see the deadite veins already on some of the bodies in the hallway.
I didn't notice that.
Yeah.
Huh.
It's really quick and really
Interesting.
subtle, but like the first time I saw it, I looked, I was like, "Oh I was like, "Oh shit, I know what's coming. I know
Mhm.
it's coming."
Yeah, and then we
Oh,
get what? What were you gonna say?
sorry. I was gonna say also, did you notice Danny's deadite eyes?
They were all white,
They
like
were
in
all
Evil Dead
white.
1.
So people that were like, I like the traditional all right deadite eyes. You get them. You
You
get
got him.
them. And one deadite, you get them.
Yeah. Um, Speaking of things from the original Evil Dead movies, everyone starts chanting "Dead by Dawn,"
Dead by
which was
dawn.
so exciting.
Dead by dawn.
That was so cool.
And it was definitely 1,000 times scarier than Evil Dead 2. Like the way their voices sounded and how many people, because it was originally just two people chanting it and their voices like changing.
Mhm.
This one you had 7 deadites chanting "Dead by Dawn" all at once.
It's crazy. Um, I didn't expect that at all because that's a very on the nose sort of thing.
Yeah, it is.
I didn't expect that, but I was so happy they did it and it worked. It's not like they just started chanting it in the middle of something, like it actually fit into the script
It
and stuff.
fit, yeah.
And worked because all the Deadites were in the hallway. I loved that. Um,
Same.
so Cassie and Beth get into the elevator. Um, and Cassie grabs the keys that were sitting where the door was, and that's why the door couldn't close. And then the door
Yep.
closed, and then the elevator starts filling up with blood. But as the same time it's filling up, like Deadite Danny and Bridget are like crawling into their
Tearing
mother
into Ellie, yeah.
to form the Marauder. And that was just so high strung because obviously like Cassie and Beth are trying like not to drown in blood
It's
that
like they're
could
in the
be forming.
elevator and like before Cassie grabbed the keys, you hit the "Dead by Dawn" chanting, and then
Mm-hmm.
like you said, the blood starts filling up, and which was really cool to see. Like 'cause it was funny, like you saw it go floor by floor on the buttons, and then it just starts spilling in,
Yeah.
and then actually right before that, did I start chanting "No Way Out" as the Marauder's forming, and then disappears, and then
Mm-hmm.
when it disappears, the blood fills up, and then they're trying to figure out how to get out. They tap on the little escape in the ceiling
Mm-hmm.
of the elevator, and then you see the arms come
And
out.
that's coming through, and the blood's like up to here, and they're like trying to grab on that to stay afloat. And then we see a sign that's like maximum like 6,000 pounds or
Which I
like
thought was really
16
funny.
people, which is fun. Yeah, because it's like that's how much blood is probably in that elevator. And then we get the beautiful shining
Shining
elevator scene where it
reference.
drops down and all the blood pours out, and Cassie and Beth roll out. And I wrote, aren't we all so glad that Ellie dropped the keys in the elevator earlier? Because otherwise, that door would have closed and that elevator would be gone. And I don't know
Yeah.
if it would have come back up. And they would definitely be stranded.
Yeah. They would have
Yeah.
had to find some other creative way to get out of there. Me personally, I would have got some bed sheets, tied it, something.
Exactly.
Something.
And like, you're telling me that a mother of 3 children wouldn't have like one of those like fire safety ladders, like the ones that roll up and you put them on the window and it rolls down, you climb down.
That's
That
a good question.
Yeah, and,
Who
like,
knows?
I don't know. Anyways, I'm not gonna critique the the technical aspects of this
I
because
feel you.
it's
I
not
will
meant to be
say
real. It's not meant to be
that's true.
realistic. Yeah.
You did give me a thought because in terms of we mentioned the game earlier. I hope we get content based off of this movie for the game. I don't know how they're gonna make it work, but I want the apartment. I definitely want the apartment because I feel like the apartment
Mhm.
is now as iconic as the cabin, in
Yeah.
my personal opinion.
It could definitely be
And
like a hide and seek mode.
something, something. But the people who work on Evil the game also work on World War Z. Quick
Mhm.
side note. In that game, they have a thing where there are certain areas you can't get to unless you have the proper tools to
Mhm.
bust down a door, get in there, and find items. I think it would be cool if they could apply that to Evil Dead the game, where it's like that apartment building that they wanted to get into, specifically to get to the fire escape.
Yeah.
It would be cool if they made it where it's like, okay, this room you can access, but you need like a certain level tier of shotgun or chainsaw to bust through that door, like something like epic or legendary
Mm-hmm.
to bust down the door and get through and either get to whatever items are in there or get to that fire escape and find an alternate route to get out of the building or get to another area. I just personally, quick side note, I think that would be a cool little thing they could do
Yeah.
for the game. But let's continue on.
Let's continue. So they go into the parking garage and they've got the keys and they get in the car and they rev up and they open the garage door thing and the car immediately gets stuck, which was devastating.
By a crater caused by a hole in the ground,
By another hole in the ground
caused by the earthquake.
Mm-hmm.
And I just want to point out, I don't know if you noticed, but they did the classic quick zoom in shots when she's starting up the car. It zooms in on the exhaust pipe first, and then it zooms in on her foot, on her hand grabbing the I drive a car and I'm forgetting
the stick shift.
The stick shift, yeah. Pulling that, putting it in the drive, and then her foot hitting the gas and whatnot. So it was like quick zoom in. And they did that earlier as well when she put the chain on the door. They did quick zoom in on locking the door, grabbing the stuff and putting it. So it was a blink and you'll miss it moment that they did twice, but it's very cool to see that. Like it was similar. It was a callback to Evil Dead 1 when Ash was stringing up Linda, getting ready to cut her in half, and Evil Dead 2 when, making the chainsaw hand and whatnot. So I appreciated that little subtle, quick Easter egg there.
Yeah. Then we get the Marauder.
The Marauder, oh my god. The most terrifying creature probably thus far in the franchise, I personally feel.
Controversial statement, possibly / hot take. I think the reveal of that creature might be in the top 10 best Evil Dead moments of all time. Because we haven't seen something like that before.
I totally agree. Like, and I do feel like it is a callback to things we've seen before, but I don't think, this specifically we've seen before. Because I feel like we got the Abomination in Fede's movie.
Yeah.
And then we got Rotten Applehead, as we affectionately call it, at the end of Evil Dead 2. And now here we have the Marauder.
Yeah.
And I believe it is meant to be a slight callback to Rotten Applehead, because Rotten Applehead had multiple heads attached to it.
Yeah.
And if you look at the one of the original early drafts for the script for Evil Dead 2013, originally the Abomination was supposed to be similar. I think either it was going to have multiple heads or its face was going to have multiple sections of the faces of everyone who had died leading up to that point. And there's concept art online of that somewhere. But this is the most terrifying. Like, not even Kandar the Destroyer at the end of season 3 is as terrifying as the Marauder.
I know.
I feel.
It's wild. Yeah, so we get that. There's some suspense where they're hiding. And then we see the Fonda's tree surgery truck. Mr. Fonda's truck, obviously a reference to Bridget Fonda.
Yep.
Lovely homage. And then Beth and Cassie run to slide under the garage door because it's still open. Cassie gets grabbed and pulled away.
What? I thought Cassie made it out.
And the Marauder picks up the chainsaw, which is the same color as the Delta, and I love that they were able to do that. Because one thing I said after I saw the movie is like there's certain where Sam Raimi directed like the first 3 entries into the Evil Dead franchise and where he has so many trademarks in those movies that are in his other movies. I feel like a lot of people expected the car to show up in this movie because it showed up in 2013. It was in the show. It's been in every movie. It's been in everything Sam's made. But I think it's a nice sort of departure from like the Raimi-isms that we're so accustomed to in Evil Dead movies.
Agreed.
I feel like especially with the new stuff we have, it's a big passing of the torch of the franchise onto new people. So obviously they're like obviously like Sam and Bruce are involved, and like Sam and Bruce and Rob executive produce the movie and they produce it. But ultimately, like Evil Dead Rise is not Sam's movie.
Exactly.
So
I agree with that.
should
And
his directorial trademarks be in a movie
the
that's not his?
I kind of agree with that. And on top of that, if the car was there, people would just be like, "Oh, Ash, it's Ash's
It's
car."
Ash's car. She bought it from Ash.
Because I think it's confirmed that in the 2013 film, it's supposed to be Ash's car
Yeah.
that's at the cabin rusting away. So if it were to be brought back again, people would just be like, "Oh, that's Ash's car." And then at the same time, if it's supposed to be connected, which these films are supposed to be, I don't know if it would have worked. And then I also think, because fans are already complaining about stuff that I feel they shouldn't be complaining about, they would have been like, "Oh, that's too big of an Easter egg. That's too in your face having," you know what I mean? So I do love the fact that they found a way to honor that type
Yeah.
of Easter egg without it being specifically, in
Mhm.
your face with that. I thought that was really nice that the chainsaw was that color.
Mhm. And then speaking
And
of
they need to
like
put it in the game.
yeah, speaking of Evil Dead sort of references, Beth picks up the chainsaw and it's this beautiful heroic moment
Oh my
and she goes,
god.
"Come get some." And then immediately gets her ass whooped and knocked down. Which just felt very Ash to me.
Yes.
Not saying that Beth is Ash, they're different people, but
Yes.
I love that she said,
She's
"Come get
Ash
some."
adjacent, yes.
Yeah. I did think it was very funny that she had this big heroic moment that immediately gets knocked down, and the shotgun and the chainsaw are like very
Go
far away.
flying, yeah.
And then they start dragging Beth into the wood chipper. And honestly,
Terrifying.
with the track record that Evil Dead like main characters have for losing limbs, I
Wh
fully expected Beth to lose a foot or something to it.
I was hoping it wouldn't happen because I was like, "Oh my god, please don't do this to her.
Mhm.
Please don't let her have anything go through that wood chipper."
Yeah, but she just none of her went through. She still has 2 legs, 2 arms.
I think she is the first main character, like, badass hero survivor in the films that has not lost a limb.
Yeah.
'Cause Ash lost a limb, Mia lost a limb. Beth had a limb. Beth had 2 limbs. So I've noticed Mia and Beth have injuries similar to Ash in
Mhm.
Evil Dead 1 and 2. The obvious being the hand, right?
Yeah.
The not so obvious one are leg injuries. Because in Evil Dead 1, Linda claws at Ash's leg,
Yeah.
and then the abomination grabs Mia by the leg to the point where it burns,
Mhm.
and then Beth, the cheese grater.
Yeah.
So all of them have had similar injuries, which I thought was really neat.
Mhm. Um Yeah, speaking of Evil Dead 2013, we get a chainsaw sequence like with Mia and the Abomination, where she just rams it in like right in the middle, um, and is drilling that, and it's a nice little
Such a
throwback
cool
to that sequence because there's just blood going everywhere.
Yeah,
Um,
the little thing that was spitting out the blood as it, like, was loose and it turned.
mhm,
I was like, "Oh, this is a Blood Rain callback," because of the way, like, it was spraying out everywhere. I was like, I thought that was really cool.
mhm,
'Cause
and
there's a
then
nice way of not trying to like, copy off of it, but, like, pay tribute to it, so I thought that was dope.
yeah, and then poor Cassie's just sitting there with like her
Sobbing.
head in her hands, sobbing, just covered in blood. She's gonna be so messed up after this. Um, and then
I don't think
yeah,
no amount of therapy could help that kid.
I know. They push the rest of the Marauder into the wood chipper. Ellie or Beth kicks Ellie's head in there and it's done. And then Beth and Cassie walk out, but they stop and turn around and Beth picks up the chainsaw
Picks up the
and takes it
chainsaw.
with her, which I thought was such like a beautiful like passing of the torch for the franchise. Because obviously the chainsaw's such an important.
Yeah, it's, like, the most iconic weapon, I feel like,
Yeah.
in the Evil
So
Dead.
I love that she took it with her when she left. Um, but at the same time, I also would have been happy if she didn't take it because maybe that's a little too on the nose.
Could be.
Could be.
I personally the reason why I liked it is because in my mind, after everything you've been through, not just in terms of like, oh, save it for a rainy day, but it's like, even you don't know what's gonna happen 5 minutes from there because of everything
Yeah.
you just went through. Like, I would absolutely take a weapon with me. Granted, I don't know how you're gonna get away, walking around LA covered in blood with a chainsaw, even
Yeah.
though it is late at night. Maybe take some back alley roads or something. But
Mhm.
I, I think it was smart that she took the chainsaw
Yeah.
because you don't know what you're gonna encounter
Mhm.
next. Because it's like the tagline for the original Evil Dead: "Can they be stopped?" And the answer is no, not
No,
really.
and they don't get stopped in this movie because we find out that Jessica lives in the apartment complex this all took
On
place
the
in
fifth floor,
and was there all along, and the Force comes and gets her, and like evil has not been defeated,
nope.
and
Did you
it,
notice when she's looking around and the camera's showing like the blood on the pavement and the little chunks of meat? Some of the chunks of meat are twitching.
I didn't notice that.
Yeah, I think that was a callback to when Shelly got chopped up and her limbs
Yeah,
are twitching. So, and also like I think that I hate the fact that I've seen it enough time to know the name. I think the priest's name is Father Barkus Middleton. On the where he's like like one of the last bits of audio that Beth hears is when he says, "Even its final remnants will come after you." And
hmm
so we see that come full circle with the twitching of. It's like just the tiniest bit of like
yeah,
flesh in the pool of blood is like squirming around.
yeah. So Jessica gets possessed. Evil has not been defeated. I thought this was such a good way to end the movie with tying it back to the beginning
Yes,
and like letting us know that it's not a happy ending in a sense, and like
not really.
evil is still out there and could get anyone at any time, and it leaves so many doors open for sequels and stuff.
Because it's like you could pick up with Teresa, like maybe somehow she manages to survive,
Hmm
or if she doesn't, where does Jessica go? You
Yeah,
know, where are Beth and Cassie? What are they up to?
yeah,
There's so much stuff that they could do.
yeah. This movie was so good. I went
Agreed.
in with the bar was already high when I went in because
Same.
I think on like our fourth or fifth episode we talk about the title being released. So we've been talking
Yeah,
about this movie
for a
like
while.
for a very long time. Um, so the bar was high. It somehow passed the bar by like a
Same.
very like 1,000 times.
Same. I fully agree. Like not to be like a stereotypical fanboy, but like I was already so excited for this movie and my expectations were through the roof
Hmm
and they were exceeded.
Yeah.
They were heavily exceeded and I loved this movie. And I mean, obviously cuz I've seen it like 7 to 8 times already and I might see it again tonight and I'm seeing it again tomorrow. So,
Yeah. So yeah, that's Evil Dead Rise. Literally all of it. I
yeah,
think
we
our
did like a play by play of the
I
movie.
think our recap is as long as the movie.
I think you're right. I think because it's like an hour and 40 some minutes.
Yeah.
We literally went scene by scene.
Oh my god. But yeah, do you have any final notes for this episode? It's almost 2 hours long. This is our
I
longest
know.
episode ever.
Longest episode ever. Well, we had a lot to cover. I'm just gonna say that I think the movie is incredible. It was originally it was intended to get a theatrical release, and then because of COVID, it was
Hmm
gonna be on HBO Max.
Yeah.
And then after test screenings and once, the world opened up again, they were like, well, maybe we can do a theatrical release. So I just want to say thank you to New Line Cinema and Warner Brothers for believing in this film
Yeah.
and releasing it in theaters the way it is meant to be seen on a big screen, biggest screen possible, best sound system possible, in a packed theater with a ton of other people screaming and laughing and squirming in their seats. Because like I said, I haven't the best two cinematic experiences I've ever had watching movie in theaters has been Spider-Man No Way Home and
hmm
Evil Dead Rise.
Yeah.
My top two cinematic experiences of all time. And hats off to everyone involved with the making of this film from every department, especially the cast who did a phenomenal job. quite possibly my favorite cast in an Evil Dead movie, or at least tied with the 2013 film. And hats off to Lee Cronin, who
Mhm.
wrote and directed this movie. Like, you did a phenomenal job. This movie kicks so much ass, and I'm so glad it's doing so well in theaters and at the box office, because it deserves it. And I am excited to see what we get next,
Yeah.
whether our next entry is by Lee or by Fede or by Sam or by somebody new. I am excited for the future of Evil Dead. Looks extremely bright, and I cannot wait to see what happens next. And if for whatever reason, viewer, if you've watched this without seeing the movie, which shame on you, go see Evil Dead Rise.
Yeah.
Sprint, do not run or walk. Sprint to your nearest theater and watch this movie.
Yeah.
Support it.
That's
and
a good
support
way.
Evil Dead the game.
Yeah. New content coming soon. I
New
think it's this
content
week.
coming, yes, Wednesday, in fact, the 26th.
Whew, 2 days.
2
Well,
days.
interesting.
Do you
I
have
don't know.
any?
There's nothing that jumped out at me for this DLC pack. So
You know what they do? They slowly tease stuff, which I get that strategy, but I wish they would tease stuff a little bit differently.
Mhm.
I would be shocked and admittedly slightly disappointed if they don't reveal Evil Dead Rise content like the day before or the day of, like, surprise, because they've been promoting the film on their social media channels.
And where this pack is called Who's Your Daddy, I can totally see them doing like a thing where it scratches out and it says mommy and you get to like see like Ellie
That
in
would
the
be
game or
funny.
something.
That
That
would
would be
be
cool.
really funny.
Saber
But
Interactive, you can I'll give you my email and you can pay me for that. Unless someone's already thought of that, I don't know.
yeah, who knows? But
Who
that's a good
knows?
idea. It's a really good idea.
Mhm.
But yes, I will definitely be playing and recording. I was
Yeah.
thinking about doing some content of that other game that won't be mentioned since they dropped content too, just to be petty and like compare,
Yeah.
like, here's how bad this game does the content versus Evil of the game and how good they do it with the same
Mhm.
stuff. But
Yeah.
do you have any closing remarks?
My closing remark is I hope people are watching the video version of this and notice that we are wearing the same shirt.
We are wearing the same shirt, yes. The glow in the dark Evil Dead.
I'll turn my light off and I'll
One.
glow in the dark for a second.
Oh
If
my
my
god, are you
camera
serious? Oh, I see it.
a
Wow.
little bit.
Yeah, yours is definitely glowing. I can't
Yeah.
do that because it's still daytime over here. But if you want this shirt, go to Cavity Colors. This is part of their Evil Dead 40th anniversary collection shirt. It is really cool, and it's got stuff on the sleeves as well.
Mhm.
And it's just a rad shirt. And they have a collection of Evil Dead Rise stuff. I need to get the sweatpants. They have
Yeah.
Evil Dead Rise sweatpants. I need to get
I
those.
want them because I love my Evil Dead 2 sweatpants from them. They're so comfy and they have a back pocket.
You got lucky because I got the original wave of those and they did not have a back pocket. So I have to buy the new versions that have a
Mhm.
back pocket. But yeah, their
Yeah.
sweatpants are really comfy.
Well, I think on that note, we should call it quits
It's
for
a
this
2
episode
hour
because it's
2
2
hour
hours
episode.
long.
Yes.
So
If you
yeah.
stuck it out, thank you and congratulations. You win a fabulous crisp thumbs up from us for
Yeah.
making it through this video.
And let us know what you thought of Evil Dead Rise down in the
Yes.
comments and make sure to like and share this video and subscribe. And yeah, this has been Hail to the Deadites episode 12. Thank you so
Woo!
much for joining us and stay groovy.
Stay groovy.